Welcome to the session on cloud integration and service brokers. On our panel we have 4 organizations, 4 people who are delivering cloud brokerage services. As you may know or may not know, Gartner called out that by 2015 most application service provider will be using any form of cloud brokerage. And why cloud brokerage is so important to have the area of cloud computing go up and make sure that people are using cloud and make it for a life far more easier for the cloud service provider to get their solutions delivered to the end user. We may be having a need for cloud brokers. And there are several ways to do cloud brokerage. Well, these 4 people understand. Viktor Kovacs from CEO OnDemand, Marco Houwen from Lux Cloud, Sundar Kannan from ComputeNext, and Andraz Zmasjek? Yeah, Zmasjek. All right. And Si.mobil will be talking you through the cloud brokerage world. And of course, we hope to have a lively debate, not only between the 4 guys on the panel, but also with the integration of the audience. Because integration is the key word for cloud brokerage, I believe. I would like, from my left to the right, I would love to give the microphone to Viktor Kovacs from CEO OnDemand to do his presentation on cloud brokerage. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. My name is Viktor Kovacs. I am the co-founder of ComputeNext. I'd like to start today very, very briefly because it looks like we have more people up here than out there. So we'll make this quick. And I'm really looking forward to a lively debate, hopefully be very interactive. I'd like to start with a very brief video today of a partner and a client we're very, very proud of. They won a Eurocloud award last night. For those of you that made it all the way through dessert, we're going to present a brief video about the Hungarian water rescue services.
Microsoft is very pleased and honored that our technology is being used by such a mission-critical organization and contributing even to the smallest extent to life-saving operations as recently experienced during the flooding in Hungary.
Komoly az ügy, amikor megalapítottuk ezt az egyesületet. A fő cél az volt, hogy azokat az iszonyatos nagy számokat, azokat a nagy halálozási számokat, amik előfordultak itt a Balaton térségében, ezeket csökkentsük. Kezdetben nagyon kezdetleges módon mindenki számára elérhető kommunikációs eszközökkel, illetve szoftverekkel dolgoztunk. Már azonban olyan nagy mennyiségű adatot kezelünk, a videóktól, a különböző dokumentumokon át, az egyéb más formanyomtatványokon át, gyakorlatilag valamiféle megoldást kellett találni. Több megoldás közül végül is egy nagyon jó és nagyon hatékonyan bevált megoldásra tettük le a voksunkat, a Si.mobilnak a szolgáltatására.
By using this platform, they have saved tens of thousands of euros over the last year and have increased productivity of over 1,500 man days. This has resulted not only in a better, more efficient service delivered to the Hungarian people, but what we like to think are more lives saved.
Nagyon jól tudjuk használni ezeket az eszközöket, ezeket a lehetőségeket az Egyesület vezetésén belül. Folyamatos kapcsolatot tudunk tartani a szolgálatvezetővel. Aktuális hírek, nagy mennyiségű adatok tudnak azonnal egyik pontra a másikra kerülni, így mindenki látja a főnaptárban, hogy a vízimentők Magyarországi Szakszolgálatának mikor, hol és milyen programja lesz. Teljesen mindegy, ki hol van éppen az országban, vagy éppen külföldön, azonnal is össze lehet hozni egy videokonferenciával egy elnökségi ülést. Nagyon fontos az, hogy az adatoknak a tárolása a Si.mobilon keresztül eleve az országban marad, 2, nagyon nagy biztonsággal garantálják azt, hogy ezek az adatok nem vésznek el.
Working with partners like Central Europe OnDemand to deliver services to public sector is at the cornerstone of our cloud strategy. It allows an organization to leverage the global scale and the technology innovation of Microsoft with a secure, reliable delivery in-country by Central Europe OnDemand.
Central Europe OnDemand is pleased to be a very important partner of Microsoft in delivery of its public cloud strategy in Central Europe. And we are hoping that we will have many more success stories as we move forward in this great challenge that we view as delivering software as a service into the market.
Csapat hosszú távon gondolkodik, hosszú távra építkezünk, és egyfajta minta akar lenni. Egy minta abban, hogy hogyan lehet profi módon menteni, és hogyan lehet profi módon működtetni egy ilyen szervezetet. Mert azt gondolom, hogy a kettő találkozik, akkor van értelme, akkor költséghatékony, és akkor tudjuk elérni azt, hogy az adófizetők pénzétől kezdve az adományozókon át mindenki nyugodt legyen, hogy ez az ideérkező pénz, ez biztos, hogy jó célra megy, és hatékonyan van felhasználva.
So I'd like to place one caveat on this film. Microsoft paid for it, so they got most of the, the bragging rights there. The president of the association is sitting right here with us. He's currently using 7 different technologies delivered from the cloud in a mission-critical 24/7 organization. And I think it's very, very important that Microsoft is one of these 7 technologies. However, it would not happen without having an efficient brokerage platform that can effectively bundle and deliver these services as one usable component for his business or for his organization. So with that, I'll pass on the staff to Marco.
Cool. Impressive video. So I have to ask Microsoft to do the same for me. We'll work on that. So Lux Cloud, myself, I'm the CEO and founder of this company, and we're positioning ourselves as and they take the Gartner term, unfortunately they're calling us like that, as the broker for brokers. So to make this more easy, we are creating the global channel-centric marketplace for cloud services. So we bring up these 7 services and hundreds and thousands of more worldwide and onboard them on a delivery platform which is able to sell and to bundle these services to cloud service brokers who are value-added resellers, telcos, and hosters. So that's the positioning we are having. We are doing this on a global scale. We have our operations in Singapore running. We are looking into the US right now. And yeah, that's without a movie about me.
Okay, thank you Marco Houwen for sharing your insights on Lux Cloud with a very vivid presentation. And I would like Sundar Kannan from ComputeNext. If you push the button, yeah, okay.
Okay, and the slides?
Slides will be coming up shortly.
I would need the...
Yeah.
All right, first slide is on.
Thank you for inviting me here. I appreciate that. My name is Sundar Kannan. I'm the CEO and founder of ComputeNext. So I think the good news is that we already went through a few definitions of what cloud brokerage is. So I'll quickly go out to the next slide. So I think from where we are coming from, the things that we see a lot of activity, a lot of tremendous business opportunities, but we also see a lot of what we call chaos, right? Because there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of noise. And as customers and service providers and participants try to understand what this all means, and as you know, commodities type of models start to set in, and if you look at Amazon and Microsoft, if you live in the Seattle area like I do, you will see that every month they are reducing prices and fighting on the pay per hour usage. And then we are in Europe and we are still trying to understand some of the standards and how we define cloud. But inevitably we believe that if you look at different industry, whether it's an airline industry or stock exchange, that some kind of brokerage model will set in. And we can see that happening, as you can see from the folks from the different panel as they talk about brokerage. And as the new business model evolve, one of the key themes that we say is evolving is what we call the federated cloud ecosystem, which is key. So it's a evolution of what we call is happening in the cloud brokerage. So not to bore you, as you know, your previous session you had all the standards body here, but according to the standard body NIST, cloud broker is an entity that manages the performance and delivery of cloud services. But the key things here they talk about is intermediation, which is basically standing in the middle and bringing folks together. Aggregation, which is bringing a bunch of services that make sense and then seeing if it's actionable. And arbitrage, of course, which is choice. And then Gartner, as they pointed out, is they have this concept of CSB, or the cloud service brokerage, which they deem it as a huge business in the next few years. And you can see their key intersecting model is all about intermediation. So we all agree there's some intermediation that's going to happen. There's some form of aggregation, and there's some form of arbitrage that's going to be happening in this model. But that it has to make sense for the cloud industry. So as you all know, Bob Dylan is a very famous writer and singer. He has is a saying that chaos is a friend of mine. And if you look at today's world, there's a lot of infrastructure as a service providers. There's a lot of PaaS providers. In fact, the PaaS providers have grown phenomenally in the last 2 years. I'm not sure if you're aware. And then, of course, there's thousands and thousands of app and SaaS providers. And even within PaaS, if you talk to one PaaS provider to another, there's a lot of overlap, but there's a lot of new things they say they can do as well. Some PaaS providers themselves talk about multi-cloud. Some PaaS providers talk about cloud marketplaces. Some cloud management players talk about marketplaces. So, Bob Dylan himself, rather, if in the current times, he probably was thinking about a cloud broker when he's trying to understand this maze. And he's trying to understand how to pull all these pieces together. Does he have, I lost the chaos. I've got into chaos here. Okay, good. So what we believe in is, as you look at the cloud brokerage model today, it has to make sense with compelling use cases. So one of the things that I always say is that you cannot have cloud, which is a very automated model, which is all about scale, it's all about elasticity, and then you cannot have a guy sitting in the middle with a bunch of paper writing, brokerage forms. Because then you're only as strong as your weakest point. So the model itself that supports has to be very versatile, it has to be agile. So the use cases must be strong enough that it brings a sustainable model, right? So which is what we call the federated cloud ecosystem. So what FCE, or federated cloud ecosystem, does is that it enables the automation, provisioning, in some cases hopefully real-time provisioning, and it should also enable transactions. It's a model that should empower choice, because as you see, there's chaos, there's a lot of things that's going on, but it should be able to get you to choose what you're looking for. Another key thing that we'll talk about is inventory as well. It should be able to give you the inventory that you're looking for. Just because you went into a cloud brokerage, that doesn't necessitate the fact that you have the inventory that's right for you. So it should also be a model that has the ability to pull the inventory, and it should be transparent. So the idea is that you should really be looking for things that meets your requirements. So if you talk about compliance, you talk about cross-border transactions, you talk about all the different things as you face in EU, these things should be transparent when those resources are available for transaction. So that's what we define as an FCE. And of course, an FCE has to be actionable. And the actionable model is what we believe, when it's transactional, it gives birth to a really true cloud marketplace. So you look at all the IaaS providers, and there's a lot of APIs, there's a lot of billing models, different SLAs, different performance, and you have many public cloud providers, and there's a lot of providers that are coming up there. And then you have, of course, your cloud platforms, who are very strong. There's a lot of good platforms out there, but they also differ in terms of their capability and whether they are enterprise ready, whether they can support hybrid models. And then you have all the apps, the SaaS models trying to come in and serve the needs of customers. When the traditional model was very different, now it's a service oriented. And then, of course, now with PaaS on the deployment side, you have companies that are trying to help customers deploy very quickly, manage, monitor. And so how do you bring all these pieces together is one of the things that we are very interested in, which is what we are trying to solve as part of the federated cloud ecosystem. So what is a federated cloud marketplace? It's basically the definitions of what I talked about as an FCE, but that promotes an independent cloud exchange. So it has to have all of the capabilities of choice, transparency, transaction. It must have the ability to do end-to-end workflows. So if you start by looking for a service, you shouldn't stop there in a brokerage and come back 2 days later to do the transaction. Just like how the airline industry did the e-bookers or the Expedias of the world, you should be able to start on a workflow and get the resource, regardless of who's offering the service, and finish the transaction and deploy and do the provisioning right there in the marketplace itself. And it should also allow you to bridge a lot of the barriers that you have, which is the cross-border transaction, legal issues, compliance. You look at Germany, they have their own trusted cloud. I know Austria and UK, and everybody is very worried about all of these different things. But there should be a model that transcends this and give you all the data that you are able to make choices right there on the screen, instead of coming back and trying to understand whether it makes sense for the buyer or the seller. And that includes taxes as well, which is a big thing in Europe, especially on internet models. So very quickly, some screenshots. This is what a marketplace looks like. You have different providers who can provide different things based on attributes, from everything from SLA to size of CPU to latency, you name it, you got it, including, of course, not the least, the price. And the search has to be very credible as well, because you really want to make sure that there is a model to compare apples to apples, even though different providers have different ways of naming conventions or nomenclature or the way they offer their services. And it is also very, very important that any user or provider, whoever is participating, has the ability to come in and see what they bought and what is the usage, and the ability to see what they have done. So a transparent marketplace gives you all these different models. So with that, I thank you, and I hand over the thing to Andraz.
Okay, thank you. Andraz, I'm coming from Si.mobil, which is telco provider in Slovenia. Could we get my presentation, please? And I'll try to explain you briefly what something like slow telco is doing on the, let's say, brokerage part, and what have we done in the last 2 years working on this. No, this is not the right presentation. we haven't done this.
Yes.
No,
That's to keep the sponsors happy.
Tell us how you did this.
That's to keep the sponsors happy, and I know that the guy is working in the back very hard to get the right presentation on screen right now.
Okay, maybe I can already start with the first part. So Si.mobil, it's a small operator in Okay, let's keep this. So the facts about Si.mobil: we are second largest operator in Slovenia, around 30% of customers market share. And what is most important for this presentation that I would like to tell you is that we are part of Telekom Austria Group, which is kind of a footprint is around 20 million subscribers in 7 to 8 countries. So when we decided, or when we were thinking about how to go to the cloud services, we said let's look around the environment. What's the environment that we have? So we started with which segment to address. Do we address residential? There was a lot of discussions, but at the end we saw that there is no service that we can offer to residential in this model. So we said, yeah, business segment, SMEs and SOHOs, this is the segment that we will address with the cloud solutions. And then we came to the very, very big question. What are our advantages as a telco in this respect to the cloud? And first, yeah, the first thing was, okay, we know how to develop the services. And you all know that this is not true. Yeah? The only service that we have developed, and we call it killer service, is 20 years old, and it's SMS, and this is it. We didn't develop anything else. So we faced it with the truth, and we said, we don't know how to develop services. And then we came to the really big question. What are really our current potentials that we can leverage with the cloud? And we came to 4 points. The first one is we have existing customer base. So this means that we have a relationship with the customer, with customers, and we talk with them at least once per month when we are issuing the invoice. Yeah. The second one is, I would call it scale, but it's more of a sales. We have a sales. Actually, every OpCo have a sales, which is direct sales and indirect sales, where you can where you have key accounts, you have shops, franchises, and everyone who is really doing and providing the local sales to contact the customers. Then there is a brand. Our brand, usually telco brand, has some reputation and has the awareness. And of course, at the end, but not the least, is the customer handling. There is 24/7 support, which you have customer care, which is always there, telling to, picking up the phone, asking you what problem do you have, and of course, then telling you, yeah, we will solve this problem, we will take care of it, you can go and sleep well. Then there is a billing relationship, which I already mentioned about, and collection, reports, things like that, which we have. So these are actually the only benefits or potentials that we have with the telcos have with the cloud services. And then we went to the following part, which is the request from our, let's say, top management. What do they request with this when we would like to introduce the cloud services? And it was easy. They said cloud services is very risky business. So you have to manage risks. We do not allow low investments, or investment should be very low. And you should do a risk sharing. And of course, time to market is always the question. So what we did in the first 5 to 6 months, we set up the strategy. The only model which applies to the limitation that we got was the brokerage model with the revenue share. There was no data center, so we are not providing the data center. So service providers are having the data centers, not we, telco. And of course, we keep the customer relationship. So what we did in the next 4 months, and this was really quick, and it was called Just Do It, is that we set up the initial portfolio. There was 6 to 8 services that we launched to the market. We established the ecosystem, which was supporting first the sales force, those key accounts which are selling the services. We established the marketplace, landing page, and the third-party integration interfaces. This means that every service provider can integrate with the third-party interfaces. Then we established the sales strategy, which sales channels to use, which segments to address, and so on. Go-to-market strategy and partner management. So June 2011, we have launched our marketplace. And in 1 year, what we had to do is build the market awareness. This means especially because telco is not IT provider, so we had to build the awareness that now we are providing the IT services. Of course, we had to utilize existing sales channels, a lot of learning, a lot of education to the people which were selling now the phones, and the only selling argument was discount, and now they have to become the let's say, consultants and sell through the consultancy. And we established the partnering onboarding process, which means adding new services constantly. Right now we have 21 services in our marketplace. And of course then it's sell, sell, sell. We need to build up our customer base. Right now the results are, we have 3% of our existing customer base is already using one of the cloud services. And what I'm most proud of is 0.5% of new customers, which are actually not our customers, but customers of the competition, have also one of our services that are available in our marketplace. Right now we have 21 services. In next release, which will be end of November, we will have 25, 26 services offering. You can see this is the URL when you can see the marketplace, and we have already we have established the developers community called Start.cloud, which was presented yesterday, and this will be continuously. We will working with the startups to enter new services on the marketplace. So how does it work? Very briefly, on one side we have a demand, which are our business users, and we know what are their demands. We know our business users very well. On the left side we have, or your right side, we have offer. So these are service providers, and we have positioned ourselves in between with those benefits which I explained you before. So what's next? And this is what we established now. It's only on the local level, and this is okay. We did something, but it's not much. The next point is we will go into the region. As I explained you before in the beginning, there is a footprint with 20 million subscribers and 8 countries. And we will apply this business model and technical model, the technical behind, to all those 7 countries. And then you can imagine, then we have a local presence, global services and prices, also local services with developing of local developers community. And we will offer the marketplace federation. This means we will have one central repository of services, and all local markets, they would be able to choose which service is most appropriate to be applied on the local market, because they are the experts for the local market, and they know what is the best service to offer to their business customers. So this will happen in 2013. We will start with 2 OPCOs in April, and then by the end of 2013, we will have 6 to 7 OPCOs already on this offering, on this business model in those 8 countries. Okay, this is it from my side. Thank you. These are 2 URLs where you can see what our current product is, and this is my email. If you have any questions, I will be glad to talk with you about it.
Okay. Thank you all for your presentations. In the meanwhile, I've gathered a huge load of questions about your presentations, but also about integration and cloud brokerage. But I would like to hear if the audience have a question up front before I start firing away. All right.
Thanks for the great presentations. I have 2 questions. One is, which size of companies do you find most interested and most easy to sell to? Let's not say SME, because I think it means different from Slovenia to the US. But what size of user base do you sell the most often? How many users? And also, especially to our telecom presenter, Andraz, how do you concur the fact that your current sales staff is doing more transactional sales than consultative sales are you more successful with products that you can plug and play, or can you also sell products which need really customization and consultative sales?
Okay, if I can answer the second part, yeah. Yeah, we had a big problem with our sales because we thought that it would easily sell as they are selling now the packages and telephones. Yeah. What we found out is that they need to shift their thinking, and this took us at least 6 months, a lot of training, and they have to start to be the consultant to the customer, to make consultancy, not selling the packages or discounts. Yeah. We were surprised, around 70% made it through the 6 months course, and they really started to sell it, but each of them has also the technical person who goes with him, and he explains the technical part. So it's, yeah, we are selling the packages. The services are in the package. So it's easy understandable. We are not doing the integration, or integration comes later if it's needed, yeah. But it is the biggest part of this.
Okay, next question.
Oh.
The gentleman over there. Oh, sorry, he's not finished yet, sorry.
I think sweet spot is between, what I see, between 5 and 50 persons in a company right now. That's really the sweet spot, but it's maturing very fast, and it's maturing by industry. So it's really interesting to see the movements over the last 3 years, how this is maturing. So I'm very convinced that we go up to the 500 SMB, 500 people as a US SMB definition, in a very short lapse of time, in about 2 years. But I want to emphasize on Andras' answer. That's exactly why we need cloud service brokers, because you need somebody who's going to the customer and who's bringing the value out of integrating these solutions. It's not that you have cloud services that now everybody is becoming an expert in IT. So the customer himself still needs somebody who's bringing this solution to him and who is explaining it, who's installing it, and that's exactly the challenge actually in the model is the ramp up and to train properly either the SMB or for us then the cloud service broker to be able to sell the service.
Yeah, cool.
I would add maybe sales experience that we had. We thought in the beginning that we will sell this to companies 1 to 10, 15 employees. Yeah. At the end, it's turned out that we are selling through 2 channels. First channel is direct channel. This is key account talking to you, and the second channel is a web channel. We thought that web channel will be useful, but for now it's not. It will be useful for upsell, for sure, but it's not useful for gaining the first customers. So what happened is that we are gaining the first customers through key accounts, and those, because they are key accounts, they have connections to the companies which are bigger. This means in terminology of Slovenia, from 20 to 150. So we are now targeting not this the small group, the smallest group, but this is something in between. So from 20 to 150.
And it's also important not to miss out on what we call ISVs, or the SaaS players, because there is, especially the startups and a lot of the SaaS players, they have moved a lot of the solution or the ISVs to more of cloud-like. And if you look in the US, public cloud is already a big business today. It's very important you understand. Amazon itself is a multi-billion-dollar service under AWS. So they already have a streamline of different types of customers. But one of the customers that's very, very interesting is ISVs, because these ISVs, when they morph into the SaaS model and they want elastic services, they also bring the slew of customers that use those ISVs into the mix of cloud. So that becomes a very key tenet of onboarding as well.
Okay, so if I take the eyes of the customer who is going to buy the service, what makes the difference between a distributor and another one? You will have the same application. So the added value could be to merge or to integrate 2 services together and to bring added value. And this will be the way to differentiate a distributor to another one. So what about service integration together?
Yeah, so you want to answer?
if you don't mind. No, absolutely. Sure? Okay. Yeah, so Si.mobil is currently operating in 17 countries. We're reselling services through major telcos in each country. So we're currently working with 23 different telcos across the region. Si.mobil is one of them, by the way. And what we've experienced, I mean, some markets, all of the major telcos are reselling service portfolios from Si.mobil. However, each telco is addressing a different segment, to your question, Adam. So from the biggest enterprises or public sector entities down to the small business, and they're doing it with a different bundle. You would never know that we're behind all of these telcos because it's all branded, it's all built into their core service portfolios. But the bundle is key. As Andraz said earlier, this stuff does not sell itself. I was on a panel a couple weeks ago at an Informa conference with a number of major telcos who have invested millions of euros into developing and deploying marketplaces for a seamless internet-based transactional experience. I asked all of these telcos how many net new customers they got through their marketplace. 0. The call center does everything. And I think it's very relevant. The marketplace is a fantastic tool for upsell, cross-sell, as Andraz had very astutely stated. However, getting net new customers is about delivering a bundle that is relevant to a business, which in the case of telco is always messaging, collaboration, communications, business productivity, but doing it in a way that is different from what their competition is doing in the market. And here is where the need for brokerage is really in place, because unless you're able to provide that type of mix and match portfolio that ties very easily into core services, you're never going to take off.
Just 1 second to emphasize, because I totally agree with Viktor.
Oh, we're not supposed to, by the way, this is, right?
We're not supposed to. No, I'm sorry, we're not supposed to, but still. So I think on top of the bundle, it's really the bundle between the verticalized solution into the industry or the region and the commoditized solution, which makes the thing. So it's about the human resource or the payslip solution you have in Slovenia, together with an hosted exchange solution. That makes the solution adapted to the market.
Yeah, absolutely. We should never ever discount the local applications that you can pull out of the markets, because they really make a difference.
Okay. So just to close that loop, is just to answer the question, because I think that that's what we call transparency, the ability to differentiate. By the way, I agree with both of you, so now we're going to have a big problem. So it should be packaged, but it should also should have that ability to differentiate in a transparent way in why one is different from the other, whether it's localization, whether it's latency, whether it's the price, which is always a very important thing for different countries, even within Europe. So that is very important aspect as well as packaging. But I completely agree that the need for brokerage is because every customer is very different, every country is different, so there needs to be specific services tuned for them.
Okay. I'd like to ask a question. I'd like to bring you guys to a different debate, because when I listen to you, you have me, the user, at the end. You have a local telco, you have a broker, you have a service provider, which is a SaaS provider, who in turn may be using 1, 2, 3, 4 other providers to actually deliver that service. And by the way, you start speaking about bundling services, intermediating and aggregating services. How the heck do I have any vision on service level agreement and security across the whole of that chaos?
by signing up with us. That's one of the
I can sign up with you, but I can sign up with you.
I really want to say. I want to say what. This is one of the major challenges we are facing, and we took more than 1.5 years just to bring up this back-to-back contracts from the ISV contract going to the end user customer, and we are giving, and we as a marketplace provider, we are giving to our sales partner the blueprint of giving a contract to his customers.
But that works as long as you do intermediation, which means I take a service and I sell that service.
Yes.
From the moment on, you do aggregation, which means I combine services to create a new service, which is the other part of the NIST, the second part of the NIST definition. That doesn't work anymore.
As long as we are bundling these services, we are still totally in line. So as long as we are bundling, or our sales partner is bundling these services, so he takes out of the
What do you
marketplace
mean by the term bundling?
Bundling means that he takes on different SaaS services out of the marketplace. So he takes on a human resource tool together with a collaboration tool.
But that is not called that is not called aggregation. Aggregation is the two. Well, that's part cloud.
Yeah.
Cloud broker. That's part of the definition of cloud broker. So you don't do aggregation.
Of this definition of cloud broker. So I don't say that this is the one we have to accept.
Let me try. So aggregation is I think he was talking about the bundling, but aggregation is a very important part of what we call the federated cloud marketplace. So, by the way, that challenge that you posed is that why we have companies innovating in this area. Okay, so it's not just SLA, by the way, it's a lot more things, because a provider's latency while he's sitting in Netherlands is not the same when he sits when the same packet arrives in the US. And if we globalize that whole concept, things change. So one of the ways that you bring transparency, that's why I use the word like as if it's a political term. The transparency is not just about what you offer, it's also about the service level. So for example, if I was in US and I went and took some services from Lux Cloud, okay, which is all good, by the way, but one of the things that might have happened is that one of his offerings, as I chose a service, one of the provider might have a better offer in terms of getting the service up and running in 30 minutes compared to someone who's 15 minutes. That is a service level, that is not just the fact that he is cheaper and is better so one of the things that you have to bring to a marketplace is the transparency of the service levels. You have to bring the transparency of recommendations and ratings, the heartbeat, and all of these different things into that model, and that then becomes real. And that's what I was talking about as a federated cloud ecosystem. We have to make it real for customers to believe that they care about the service that we are offering. I'm not sure if that answers it.
Okay. I'll try to translate the question that Christian is asking, because I had the same question more or less on my list. One of the things I try to break down it into two separate parts. One of them would we probably need more brokers per service, like contract brokers, integration brokers, SLA brokers, as part of a value chain, and where does liability in that value chain lies eventually? How do you overcome liability issues by any broker or by any party involved within that same value chain? And the last question he was having was about security. How do you deal with security when you have all these parties lined up in a value chain? Where's the liability of any party within that value chain? Because right now, when you're taking any service from any computer distributor, you always have the question, okay, I have a problem with some application. Well, hardware is pointing at software, software is pointing at hardware. And I believe that would qualify for the question you are asking. So if you can answer that question, that would be great.
Yeah, and that's a very relevant question. And without slagging HP, because I won't do that, I love your hardware. That's part of the bundle, by the way. It depends fundamentally on the channel to market. And it's no strange thing that we decided to run our services through telco service providers, because they already have a trusted relationship with their subscribers. They have a somewhat dysfunctional channel to market in the form of sales engine dealers, etc. But I think what's also very important is that they have a very, very critical partnering model, whereby we've been tested inside and out by every service provider we work with. in some cases where data sovereignty is an issue and we have to place server farms into their country, we're generally using their tier 4 data centers. We're generally doing this across their trusted model of delivering a transactional service to their end users. Now, in the case of the whole World Wide Web, go out and buy anything you want, buyer beware. I mean, any bit of mental juggling we do in this room will not stop this industry from moving forward. We can talk about all sorts of wonderful things, and it's all as theoretical as this room is right now. At the end of the day, there is a business who, in the case of the region where we work in, is primarily emerging markets, has nothing. If they do have IT in place, it's crap. If we have an opportunity, and by the way, the reason why we selected the market that we're in is because it has the highest rate of piracy worldwide. What that implies to me is that the application has value to a business, however, the business doesn't have enough money to pay for it. If we can provide that same type of service to a business whereby they can afford it, that is relevant. And I think it's very, very crucial to keep that in mind. I mean, where we are right now in most, I freaked out when I started this business and started looking at small businesses IT, even multinational IT. It's not that good. We're in the industry, we got used to something very, very good. And so I think that addresses a lot of the issues that could potentially arise in delivering this. And once again, the channel to market is key.
And by the way, I didn't know you were an HP guy. HP is in our marketplace, so very HP. Yes. So, but I love the answer. So, by the way, it's very important we understand that we are not solving world hunger here. So so that's very important. So I think that is key. But it's not going to stop where we are trending. So the way we are solving the problems is by answering the questions that you brought up and you brought up, which is, where do we see abilities to solve issues of SLAs? Where do we see issues of common packaging SLAs? Where do we see issues of transparency? And the way it's moving forward, and that's why even today, to be fair, you don't have 100% of all customers using cloud, but the rapid adoption is just amazing, right? So we depend too on a lot of other things. So for example, very simple, they talked about ODCA earlier, they talked about OVF formats, they talked about SLA standards. We also depend on some of the industry things that come up in terms of how we can pull these pieces together. But from a commercial, from an entrepreneur perspective, we are doing what customers are looking for. And then we are trying to solve the problems.
Absolutely. And people still put their credit card information on
Facebook. They still put the credit card information online. Okay.
Okay.
Please. One other question is not the same question. About the marketplace, all the services are in. You need a contract specific with like distributors with each company. You need sign a contract. You need negotiating.
Actually, that's one of the big advantages of going through marketplaces, that the marketplace is taking on all these contractual relationships with these ISVs. And as such, we can give it on one contract back to our customer, who is our sales partner. So that's how we are proceeding. So that's a huge advantage going through the marketplace, because if the cloud service broker would go himself directly to all the ISVs, he would have to handle this with his ISVs, then bring up a common contract, or bring on the contracts directly to his customer. That's a challenge.
So you're talking about providers as well. So in the ComputeNext marketplace, were you specifically talking about ComputeNext or any marketplace?
Marketplace in general.
Okay, so in any marketplace, like you said, you have. So we take on so for example, in our marketplace, let's talk. I wasn't supposed to talk about my company here, but it looks. But if you talk about ComputeNext, we are a payment and a billing solution, and we also have the terms and conditions that is agreed upon by both the parties before they sign up. So it means the contract is actually something that is already valid when you actually walk into the system.
Yes, but I want to know if before to put the service in your store, you need to sign a contract with a provider, no?
Yes, yes.
With each provider. If you have 1,000 of service, you need to sign 1,000 provider?
No, that's the thing. When you bring your app, you can answer that too, but if you bring your app on, you are actually signing on with the marketplace, not with the providers. So think about this. I always talk about...
I'm not a customer. If I have a marketplace, I need to sign to every service provider.
Oh, if you're a marketplace, you have to sign to every... Of course, absolutely.
Okay.
That is a given.
Distribution contract.
Whatever. You can throw your contract if you are the market. If you are running the marketplace and you're pretty strong in what you say, you can actually define what those terms and conditions are.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Next question was here in the front.
Thank you very much. So Zoltán Belák from Eurocloud Central Eastern Europe. I'm Vice President. So congratulations, Maurice, for this panel. I think it is the most exciting, even a little bit more exciting than my panel was yesterday.
Thank you, Zoltán. Thank you, guys.
So this is the two very important. So what I understand right here, it is about various, we started discussing about a value chain and where the broker's role is in it. And I'm pretty sure that if it's about the value, the customer value, the value add, it is very different per specific markets. So we are right here in Eurocloud, so I'm not sure there is something like the cloud computing brokers value add to the European ecosystem market. So it's different in the emerging market, in established market, in Germany, and in UK. What do you see? What is your specific value add in your specific segments or regional?
I think I would like to hear that question specifically answered by Andraz, if possible.
Yeah, as I already explained a little in my presentation, it's really the value add is that we know the customer, that we have experience of, in our case, for example, for 12 years working with those customers, and we know the market, what is on the market. We heard before there is a market where piracy is 90%, so you will not go with this product there. Or if you go with this product there, you will go together with somebody who will do the inspections and require that this is not from the companies, that they don't do in this way anymore. Yeah. So you really have to know the market, what is happening, and in order to sell the services. What we are doing, our experience is also that after 1 year we saw that there is not one selling strategy for all services, but each and every service has to have its own strategy. For example, service of electronic invoicing. We introduced this and we thought everyone would buy it, and nobody bought it because nobody would give €2. It's only €2 for having electronic invoices. And then we ask ourselves why, yeah? And then we came with a strategy behind that we have to force the big ones who are issuing the invoices that they start to use this, maybe for free or whatever, or with the government, yeah. And then all the small ones will buy this because otherwise they cannot make business out of it. So it's really, you have to know the local environment, and I'm sure that every country is different. I can say for our 8 countries, every country is a lot different. Maybe Croatia, Slovenia, and Serbia is it's somewhere there, but not. There are specifics for sure. But if we go to Bulgaria, totally different. If we go to Belarus, then there is really specific situation, yeah. So I hope I answered.
I guess to that point, we're serving Telekom Austria Group in a number of different countries, and we do a lot of market analysis before we go into a new country. Simple stats. Domain penetration across SOHO SME. In Austria, it's over 85%. In Poland, it's just above 20%. In Romania, it's about 6%. The simple concept. I put a business together, the first thing I'm going to do is go to domain registrar, get myself a website, get up and running. That's not happening yet. There's a reason for that. And the reason is because one-stop shopping is almost inexistent in the majority of these countries. Getting a domain in Turkey, for example, is a 2-week process. In Bulgaria, it's a 3-week process and takes like 5 stamps. I mean, simple things like getting onto the web, it's insanely arduous. The value of a broker in these particular situations, doing 3 data points for a business to have their own website set up, is something that is a significant value add in a lot of these markets. None of us in Luxembourg would even consider that a real need for a market. However, it's there. And there is the niche where each and every one of the players sitting at this table can play. At least I hope so.
And actually, that's why the cloud service broker is so important, because he knows this specifically in his market. He knows his market, he knows his vertical, and he can sell to this vertical. We as a marketplace, we just have to bring on the services so that he can make it happen.
All right. 2 more questions, and I guess then time is up, and I really don't want to stand between you and your lunch. Anna, go ahead.
Okay. Anna Nietyksza, European Economic and Social Committee, and actively involved in Poland in various businesses, and now president of the Eurocloud Poland Association. So the question is, I was involved very actively in the creation of the marketplace created by the Polish telecom, Orange, now before it was France Telecom, and before it was Telekomunikacja Polska, no important. And this marketplace is still existing, and it was about cost optimization. So it was how to buy cheaper, basically, various services and so on, and cost savings and advisory and so on. And I remember how long it was to market it and how painful, specifically because we still do not have this broadband network and broadband access all over Poland. So it's still, that will be a problem for you also, that the broadband penetration and high-speed internet access is, let's say, limited in few places. But anyway, how big is the marketing? What's the percentage of your marketing budget in overall budget, if you can disclose it? Do you foresee for all these new member states and other countries bigger marketing effort? Thank you.
Yeah, it's about marketing budget. How big? I can say this: we have 4 big campaigns, below and above campaigns in 1 year, and 2 out of these campaigns are really connected with our, we call it Popolna Pisarna total office. So 2 out of 4 on business segment. Then there are 5 campaigns on residential segment, but we are not going to this in this direction. Yeah, as I mentioned already before, there is in the beginning we had the biggest problem to raise the awareness that now some telco who doesn't have a clue about IT services and so on is now starting to do services. Yeah, so it took us at least 4 to 6 months, two campaigns actually, that we raised the awareness that people started, business companies started to discuss about it, that when they're buying, I don't know, new exchange, they should also ask Si.mobil to give us to give them the offer for it. Yeah. The second question was regarding.
The budget. What's the percentage of the overall budget? What's the percentage of the marketing budget?
Yeah, I can tell you it's around 20% of all.
I'd like to add just one very brief point to that. I don't think telcos have really figured out yet how easy it is to horizontally integrate their marketing campaigns. Telcos are some of the biggest marketing engines in their countries. What drives me nuts, when I get off the plane in Warsaw, drive towards downtown, I pass a row of billboards for T-Mobile, for Orange, for Polkomtel, and all I see are smartphones with blacked out screens. It's like, what? Or what's even greater is the Facebook logo on it. It's like, I want to lose money today. Putting a few simple advertisements on top of that blanked out screen makes a massive difference. The incremental cost in marketing budget is not that much, but what it takes is a horizontally integrated marketing department. Andraz has the wonderful advantage of working in a B2B organization which gets it. However, if he wants to take advantage of that ATL campaign budget, he's got to go across the aisle to B2C, and those guys don't get it. But I don't think it's that much, and we've experienced this across a number of telcos. However, the evangelization cycle required for this is insane. This is a very, very long tail business. The majority of the companies that we were competing against 4 years ago are out of business today or have been consolidated. You need the right investors and you need the right approach to the business, which is long tail.
Okay, one more reaction and then the last question from the audience.
So, no, just wanted to say that, by the way, I'm a previous telco guy, so nothing against telcos. The only one key message I want to tell you is that just because you build a marketplace, that doesn't mean it is one. And that is the most important thing. There's a lot of hidden messages in what I'm trying to tell you, because telcos have this tendency that because of their history of where they come from and how they project themselves. And that's why we talk about all the key tenets that you have to build. Just because you're large and just because you had customers and had pipes, that doesn't necessitate that you have evolved into all the different business model. And just because I call it a marketplace, doesn't mean one. A lot of things are just directory services today.
Okay, one more question.
I'll be quick. We are also working with telcos in 4 countries in Central and Eastern Europe. It's 6 telcos altogether, and we also see that they have a huge headache on figuring out how to sell to enterprise customers. So we are selling really consultative-based product, a little bit like 1,000 users and so. But we do believe that telcos will sell these products in Central and Eastern Europe because there are not other players who would really be that active or that respected among customers. Do you think the telcos have also a chance in Western Europe? Is the market different? Are there other players? Or are the customers different? Do you think the telcos will also be this active and important in Western Europe?
I have to answer that I believe in this, yeah.
I think that's the discussion now is turning like the only cloud service broker which is existing is the telco channel. That's absolutely not right, from my perspective. There is the hostess channel, which is the basis of the internet, is the ISP, is the hoster who is hosting the websites and the emails of these customers today. And this is a huge channel for the evolution and for the breakthrough of the cloud services. Then you have the VAR channel. Don't underestimate the VAR channel. Maybe you're right, I don't know the Central Eastern Europe situation so good, but they all have 2 choices. Either they take on a brokerage or they go out of business because they will not sell any hardware anymore and they will not sell any service anymore. So they don't have the choice. So there will be this new brand of VARs coming up, which we will call managed service whatever. There's no real name still defined for that, but they will come up. They will come up. These will be the brokers who will make the market. So it will be divided between the telcos, who always will struggle to go really into the detail of the verticalized markets, but they will be broad. There will be the hosters, who are the classical internet delivery to the SMBs, and they have to live up and get into contact with their customers. And there will be the VAR channel, which has to grow up to be a hoster. And these 3 will make the market.
Yeah, Adam, by the way, you've got a great product, and you also have a very consultative, sales-oriented product. I would look immediately at the systems integration capability of each of the countries you're in, because I think 50% of our business is done through SIs. These guys get it. The majority of our margins come through SIs because they get the value-added sell. Exactly what Marco alluded to. If it's a complex sale, that's the channel. If it's one size fits all, messaging, collaboration, communications, throw it out to market, it's the telco.
And by the way, fantastic point. So just remember, and I think I understand this because I come from the US, even though there's large telcos. Remember that AWS is not a telco, Microsoft Azure is not a telco, RightScale is not, so, all these. So I think there is a very telco mindset, but I think the real ecosystem builders, even though the telcos will play a part, is coming from all of the stuff they talked about, which are the VARs, the ISVs, and all of the new business models that are coming up, including all the traditional large vendors. That's why you can see HP is really remorphing, Dell is remorphing, IBM is remorphing. Everybody is trying to understand how they can play into this ecosystem. It will be a really serious mistake to look at this as a pure telco-centric model.
Okay. One closing remark, and then we have had the full line for this last question, which is actually great. So go on, Andraz, but keep it short, please.
Yeah, I would say we are not talking about telcos, but we are talking who is the last in this value chain. Yeah? And the one that will win here is the one that most knows the customer. So the one that knows what the customer wants, that has the trust from the customer, and that the customer believes to him that he will provide him what's the best for the customer. So either this is telco or it's ISV or somebody else, doesn't matter. But this will win the battle to be the last in the value chain. So what he's building then, is he building the whole chain on his own, or including a lot of partners? This is the matter of the model, I would say.
Okay. Thanks a lot, panel, for answering all the questions from the audience, which was very lively, very interesting to hear the debate and hear these guys answer all your questions. I guess we're having lunch now. So if you have any more questions, because of the time, I cannot ask for closing arguments, which would be most helpful. But attack these guys during lunch. You have my blessing. Thank you.